Is it? Yes, yeah. Okay, I guess it's a little bit past 11 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. Appreciate you all being here so that we can update the status of the fires in Sevier County this morning. I can start off with good news, and that good news is that we have accounted for everyone and have determined that there are no fatalities involved in this fire, and that is great news for Sevier County, and we certainly are very thankful for that, and feel hopeful that that will continue to be the case. The Hatcher Mountain Fire can report to you today has 45% containment. We're still estimating around 3,700 acres, and we are estimating more than 100 structures have been affected. And we are going to begin this afternoon. Teams are going to go out and begin our damage assessment in the various areas that where the structures were damaged or destroyed. So we will have, after this afternoon, I think, we're going to have a better handle on how many structures have been affected as we do our damage assessment. The TBI agents, alongside the Tennessee Department of Agricultural Crime Unit and the Sevier County Sheriff's Office, are investigating the cause and origin of the Hatcher Mountain Fire. So we don't have any information on that right now because they're in the process of that investigation. Excuse me. Evacuations remain in place for Hatcher Mountain Road, Cove Creek, Indigo Road, and Shagbark Resort. Later on today, we are going to have a map available that our citizens can go to and see the areas that have been evacuated for the Hatcher Mountain Fire and continue to be under mandatory evacuation, so that they can see whether or not their area is a part of that. We have several roads that remain closed due to hot spots, and the emergency personnel continue to work. We are going to reopen roads as they are safe to do so, but we want to make sure that that our citizens are safe as they travel, and so we have teams out evaluating as we speak these areas and the road closures that we have, because we don't want anyone to be in danger as they travel. So we have opened and closed a few roads yesterday that I think caused some confusion, but we were very cautious, in particularly Wires Valley Road. We tried to open it because we know it's an important access for the community, and then we had some hot spots that started yesterday afternoon, and our personnel went up and evaluated that and recommended we close the road, as we had to have our firefighting units to go into that area to put those hot spots out. So we're doing that on all the roads that are in the affected area. So that is the information that I have on the Hatcher Mountain Fire. We also, as you know, have a Millstone Gap Fire, which is located in a remote area of the DuPont area of Blount and Sevier County, right on the line. The total acreage of that fire is 800 acres, and it is reported 0% contained right now. However, there are no structures affected. It's a very mountainous terrain, very difficult terrain to get into. So, but we do have a lot of resources down there that are trying to contain that fire, and we continue to work to do that. And fortunately, the weather is not what it was the other night. We don't have the force of winds that we have, and I think the humidities went up, and so we continue to watch that very closely and continue to work that fire with a lot of personnel. We've had some evacuations in that area from the Blount County line to South Rogers Road. Those remain in place. But other areas, as I said, we're going to have a map, and other areas will be opened up down there as we can do so. Those affected by the fires can go to www.mountaintough.com. That is now activated.
.org.
Okay, then I stand corrected. My cheat sheet here said .com. Those are now activated. Items accepted for donation include water, sports drinks, baby clothes, hygiene items, new clothes, and gift cards. And I emphasize new clothes as we had an issue with that in 2016. So the Sevier County Fairgrounds is open presently to receive those donations, and we'd ask folks, if they want to donate, to take those items to the fairgrounds. As far as shelters are concerned, the Pigeon Forge Community Center had fewer than 10 people stay last night. Many of those who stayed the first night seemed to be vacationers and went home, but they are continuing to provide meals and shelter at the Pigeon Forge Community Center. And the Sevier Heights Christian Church was also open last night and will remain open as needed.
Excuse me, Mayor, one more. That's a typo. Seymour Heights Christian Church at the intersection of Boyd's Creek and Chapman Highway.
Yeah, that is, again, thank you for, that's correct. That's Seymour Heights Christian Church. And so we have those shelters open. We continue for information purposes for our citizens. We have a link. They can go to Mountain Tough. Is that mountaintough.org and or the Sevier County government websites to get updated evacuation maps and road closures. We're going to update those this afternoon and have that available for the general public so that they can have access to that to see the areas that we continue to be concerned about. We do have the crews still from the federal government, from state resources and local, not just local here in Sevier County, but all across the state. We do have those crews, and they continue to monitor these fires and continue to work to put them out, especially put out the hot spots. And we continue to have a lot of resources from the state as well that are working very diligently to make sure that these areas that we continue to contain those areas. We've got a group of folks up here, and I don't know if they want to address any of the ongoing operations. We have Bruce Miller. Bruce is with the Tennessee Forestry, and I don't know, Mr. Miller, if you want to tell the folks here anything of what's going on from the forestry level.
Well, just briefly, my name is Bruce Miller. I'm the incident commander for the Indigo Fire for the state of Tennessee. Right now, we are predominantly making all our efforts on the western side of the fire to keep it out of the preserve. There was a small slop late last night. We were able to get our lines constructed this morning. Just talked to my operations section chief. He doesn't think there'll be any difficulty in containing that. I have put the majority of the fire in patrol and mop-up status, so we are out actively searching, securing lines, and making sure that all hot spots are out and safe for the public when and if the county and their personnel deem it safe for the public to come back in. Right now I am in communication with the incident commander on the fire over near Seymour, in that area, the DuPont area. And he is doing a very aggressive size up, and we have quite a few resources there. We're bringing in several heavy dozers. We have a hot shot crew from the U.S. Forest Service that we're going to assign to that fire. We are looking at possible air operations this afternoon once we determine where our lines will be constructed. So we want to utilize those resources efficiently once we call them up. They are on standby and awaiting our calls at this time. He said he would rather do a size up before getting them up and just having them fly around. But as things go now, the fire in Indigo is looking very good. I'm hoping possibly for a transition sometime this weekend. Thank you.
We have Chief Puckett here, and Chief, as you know, is the fire administrator for Sevier County and been the incident commander. Chief, you want to address any?
Certainly. I'd just like to say that I appreciate the outpouring of support. We've had emergency responders come from as far as Middle Tennessee to come and help. We're very grateful for everyone's participation. Due to everyone's fast response and hard work, we've made a lot of progress and a lot of headway on this incident. Not to mention just emergency responders, but also the National Park and the Tennessee Department of Forestry. We're working very seamlessly to get resolve on this call at this time.
Deputy Chief Hodges and our EMA Director Joe Ayers are here with us. As you heard, we are making a great deal of progress on these fires. We feel that we're in a good position right now, and we're going to continue to. We'll continue to inform the media. We'll probably have, or we'll have some kind of press update this afternoon. I don't know that we'll have any additional information, but if we do, we will certainly put it in that update so that we can continue to inform you all and our citizens about what's going on. And we'll take a few questions, but before we do, I want to reiterate what Chief Puckett said and just say thank you to all the folks, the emergency personnel, the firefighters. They've done a great job from federal, state, and local level. We've had so many people here in the county who have stepped up and brought food and brought water and drinks and just all kinds of support from the folks here in the county, and appreciate that, and appreciate the continued prayers for the folks that have been affected in this, and also for our firefighters and those that are working hard to make sure that we contain these fires. So I will take a few questions now. Yes. Yeah. Good morning.
Appreciate it. A lot of folks wondering about the cause. I know that's under investigation, but I heard you talk about the TBI and Sevier County Sheriff's Office and others investigating the cause. Does that mean you think it might be criminal in nature, or is that just because they have the investigators?
That's just because they have the investigators. I don't think we have any indication right now that there is any criminal activity involved in the fires that I'm aware of. But we want to make sure that we can determine what that cause was. But that doesn't indicate that we're thinking that there's any criminal aspect to this.
A lot of folks also concerned about their homes. I know yesterday at this time we heard more than 100 structures. Is that just because you've examined 100 structures? You just kind of counted them? Do you estimate it's a lot more?
That's what we're doing. We're starting that this afternoon. Joe Ayers, our EMA director, is organizing teams to go out in these communities that were affected, to go house to house and to see the damage at each house. They're going to put that on a map. We're going to have that available. So that's going to start this afternoon so that we'll have more detailed information when we get, and we're going to put that on our website also so that the public can take a look at it.
Is this going to be pictures? What this map you're talking about is pictures? Can people actually see their home, or is it just kind of showing where the fire?
Joe, you can tell them.
What we're intending to do is very similar to what we did in 2016. We utilized the GIS platform. We're able to put it online, and it was very successful. We received a lot of input from the community that it helped individuals who were unable to go back to their residence to identify whether or not their structure had been affected or was severely damaged to where, as we would say, maybe a total loss. So what our plan will be to go out and assess the area to make sure it's safe for these individuals to go out to make this assessment. And then our crews will go out and evaluate each house to identify a certain level of damage. And that's part of the process as we go forward requesting assistance from other agencies in the recovery process. So we're at the very beginning of trying to begin the recovery process. But as this assessment's completed, we will get it posted back online and try and have a map to help folks to put in their address, to give them a status of what that structure is at the time if they're still not able to be allowed to return back into the area due to safety.
Do you have any concept of which neighborhoods may have been the hardest hit?
I do not. This is still, for my aspect, getting in the damage assessment aspect is preliminary. I'm working with the Sheriff's Department and the Fire Service to be able to now make entry as it's been active scene where they've been actively engaged in suppression efforts. So as they have put out a lot of the fires, and it's been smoldering with the winds the last few days, they've flamed back up. So it's been a very ongoing event.
Are the majority of the buildings damaged rental properties or people's actual homes?
That I don't have that information right now.
And you said no fatalities. What about injuries?
I'm only aware of the initial injury that we had on the first day.
A question for Bruce. You talked about a transition this weekend. Does that mean safe enough containment for people to get back into their homes?
No.
Sir, can I come? Oh, sorry.
No.
So what does that mean?
What a transition is, meaning that I have got my containment lines and I feel comfortable releasing my resources and turning it back over to the county personnel for them to continue their efforts. But that would mean active flame is down, and we're pretty much in a patrol status, and I leave it up to the county and their personnel to deem it safe for the public to come back in.
Sir, you said that you felt this fire, you feel very good about this fire right now.
Yes.
How does that compare to what's happening in Seymour and your counterpart there?
Well, I have not had an update from him. I spoke to him at 6 this morning, and he briefed me that he was going to go out and do an active assessment of the fire. So I probably won't know any more information until about 1300 or 1 o'clock this afternoon.
What does an active assessment mean?
What we do is we go out, we evaluate fire activity, terrain, fuels, weather, available resources, and then we build what we call the big box. And we're going to work within that box to determine structures, property, values, and where we are going to apply our resources the most effectively to contain or control the fire from advancing into those areas. And so we also are looking out for lives, the safety of our personnel and the public. So we want to make sure before we go in and start committing resources that we have an active plan. And so when we assess that, we take all this into consideration.
You mentioned hotshot crews.
Yes.
What is that?
A hotshot crew with Forest Service is a specialized group of individuals that their initial attack is they attack the fire with hand tools. They're specialized in fire suppression, and they are what you would consider the elite of our firefighting group. They are physically trained to endure long stretches of firefighting, and they are our specialists. I mean, we are all professionals, but they specialize in hand construction more so than anything else. And we bring those in, and we can turn those loose and say, we want you to go from point A to point B, and we can estimate how much line construction we can get from those units. And so we have several of those around the country. We just so happen to have one available for us right now at the Park Service, so they brought those over since they weren't on an active fire. And we needed the resources due to the constraints put on us with all the other fires in the area. And we're going to, since we deem this our priority fire, we're going to put that over there and have them work with them.
So the Seymour fire is the priority fire at this point?
Yes, I mean, as far as between the two, I have my team from the Grand Division's Incident Management Team from the state on this fire. So I have the resources I need, so now we're directing all additional resources to the DuPont fire.
And did you have a hot shot crew for this fire, or is this just for this?
Just for this fire. The shot crew did not come available till about a day or so ago.
And can you describe the difference in terrain between the Seymour fire, I know you're looking at that, the DuPont fire, versus what we see here in Lewis Valley? Is it a more rural area, more inaccessible area?
From my understanding, yes, it is a little bit more inaccessible. It's not as developed. So we're having to do a lot of footwork in going in and evaluating fuels and where we can put in containment lines. Whereas here we had a lot more developed areas that we could drive around. We also had a lot of local access through the fire departments that were here to direct us in the areas. So we are working in cooperation with all the fire departments and trying to develop that plan.
So as of this morning, I know you said active fires are kind of down. Is there one area specifically, that Hatcher's Mill area, where we're still seeing some of those active fires?
Hatcher's Mill?
Hatcher's Mountain area.
Hatcher's Mountain. The Hatcher's Mountain area, the only part of that I had this morning report from Operations Section Chief was the activity over on what would be called the western flank, and it was relatively small. Fire activity overall, due to the increase in humidities and the moistures that we've had in the past few days, has diminished fire activity to a level that we've been able to get in and do some direct line construction and attack this thing right up to the fire's edge and put in good containment lines.
So is it accurate to say, I just want to make sure I understand you right, that you guys have made significant progress on the Hatcher's Mountain fire, you're now at 45% containment, so the priority now is shifting to the Seymour fire?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the hotshot crew, where are they from?
That information I don't have. I just got a report that we had a 20-person hotshot crew, but I didn't get a nomenclature.
Okay. And how many people remain evacuated?
I don't have that figure. I don't know how many people. We'll, as I said, we're going to have that on our website later today, so we'll have that information later today, how many areas remain in the evacuation. And one thing I want to emphasize about the Millstone Gap Fire in the DuPont area is that it's always been a priority. It's just that it grew yesterday afternoon. It grew some in that mountainous area because it's a difficult area for firefighters to get into. It's a very rough terrain. There's not many homes in this area, very few, and so that's when the local, state, and federal government put more resources into that area because of the additional growth in the area. We're going to have to close this because we have this is the Commissioner of Commerce and Insurance, Commissioner Lawrence, is coming in, and we've got to meet with him. They're setting up a trailer at the Sevier County Fairgrounds for anyone who lost their homes. They can begin to go in there, and the folks in the Department of Commerce and Insurance is going to be working with them to help them as they navigate all of the things that have to be done when you lose your home to a fire. So they're setting that up, and I think Commissioner Lawrence is waiting on us to meet with him. And I want to say a word of thanks to Governor Lee. I talked to Governor Lee yesterday morning a couple of times, and he certainly indicated that the state would do anything within their power to help us in this situation. I've also talked to Senator Haggerty yesterday morning twice, and we had a conference call with Senator Blackburn last night, which all of us had an opportunity to talk with her. She wanted to come in, but her flight schedule did not work. So we have talked to our state and federal officials. We're also meeting today at lunch with the team of Director Sheehan and Lieutenant Governor McNally are going to be there, as well as our state representatives and possibly state senator to brief them on the fires and what's going on. So again, thank you all for being here. We'll have another update, a press release this afternoon to update you, and we'll include any additional information in that we might have. So thank you very much.